Hello everybody, this is your Immortal Afro, and welcome to Immortal Afro Gaming, where we will make gaming niche again. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new Switch, or the OLED model that is supposed to be releasing this October for $350. So there's been a lot of discussions about the brand new Switch because a few months back there was a rumor mill going that Nintendo was releasing a brand new Switch. And apparently the rumor started that it was going to be like a Switch Pro, the next gen of the Switch, I guess, with 4K graphics and high frame rate and all this and that and the other. Now, of course, I wasn't really too, I didn't really think too much of it because I'm not too much of a Switch guy. I have a Switch, but don't really play Nintendo games that much. But I was a little confused as to why so many people were expecting a big leap from Nintendo in terms of like hardware when that's not something they typically do. So this article kind of details some of the information surrounding it. There's the commercial, which was pretty cringe, but you don't care about that. You're here for the Switch. And apparently what the Switch OLED is a slightly better model, but it's not too much better in terms of it's not that much of an upgrade. It's like a better screen, wider screen, and cooler looking dock with a wired LAN support, and all that's great, but it's not like I guess it wasn't what people were expecting. Everyone has seemingly gotten used to PlayStation's and Xbox's variation of next upgrading consoles like the Xbox One X or the PlayStation 4 Pro. And I gotta admit, the more I think about what I think should be done about the issue in gaming, the more I begin to respect Nintendo's ideas, their philosophy, their style, because I believe what this is, what the OLED Switch is specifically for people who have not purchased a Switch yet. And this new Switch doesn't invalidate an older Switch. This Switch is, I believe, exactly for people who don't have one yet. Because I probably, I would have gotten this one if I hadn't had a Switch already, but this Switch doesn't feel like it invalidates my previous purchase. And what I mean by that is that it's not that much of a jump to where I would be upset about it. If anything, this just opens the door for more people to get a Switch if they haven't already. Now, PlayStation has done this before, and it was accepted back in the day, back in the good old days, with the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3 Slim, where they released a newer model of the same console, but it was only better in terms of quality of life differences. It was a little slimmer, it could fit in a few different places, and it was smaller, easier to move around, and all that good stuff. Like the PlayStation 2 Slim was it looked like a notebook. It was so small, and it was really popular. I like that thing. But I will admit, the more I look at Nintendo's way of doing things, like I said in my last video, Nintendo, they march to the beat of their own drum. Because it seems like, for the most part, the people who are upset about this were expecting something out of the ordinary, something extravagant. And that's not Nintendo's market, in my opinion. Nintendo is more concerned with making sure that they have what they have works for their base. Now, expecting 4K graphics off of a handheld, I think, is a little strange. Doesn't really make too much sense, because if you want all that power, you're better off just getting an Xbox or a PlayStation or a PC. Because what the Switch is, ever since day one with the Switch, was that they're focused on portability. And I'll admit, way back in when Switch first came out, I was very critical of them. I thought it was another stupid gimmick that wouldn't make any sense. But here we are years later, and Switch is leading the pack in terms of success in the console war. It's to the point to where they're not even considered a part of it anymore. Nintendo left E3, they're going to do their own thing. And the more I look at Nintendo, the more I respect it. Not too much of a Nintendo guy, though. Don't think that I'm saying I'm just a Super Nintendo fan and everything they do is great. I really don't care about Zelda. I really don't care that much about Mario. Games look great. I'll probably try them at some point, but as far as I'm concerned, it seems like Nintendo is more focused on their in-house productivity. Because like I said in my last video, Nintendo, first party Nintendo games, they work, they sell, they're of high value, everyone wants them, they never decrease in value, seemingly. Nintendo first party titles, remember. And it's very, you have to respect that, is what I'm saying. So I never really much understood the desire to have a very high-powered Switch. It just seems negligible in terms of like what, because like the reason why you have a Switch is for the reason why they sold it the way it is. The reason why it's a Switch. This is why you chose a Switch over an Xbox, because if you valued 4K and high frame rates and all that stuff, you wouldn't have bought a Switch. You would have bought a next-gen console like or not next-gen, but a next-generation PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 at the time, or a PC or an Xbox, because that's what they specialize in. And to be perfectly honest, the Xbox and PlayStation doesn't really even do that well, in my honest opinion. But I'll say that for another video. But if those are things that you value, high frame rates, high resolutions, and pristine visuals, then there's really no place for you on Nintendo. Because Nintendo has made it clear that they are more focused on making good high quality games that have lasting appeal, and it's portable. That was one of the reasons why I didn't initially buy a Switch. And I got a Switch from a friend of mine a few months back, and so far I've been happy with it despite only playing 2 games on there. One of them is a third-party game, the other one is Smash Bros. Monster Hunter is the other one. But so far I'm happy with it. I play mostly in docks because I'm not about to play. I like being stationary when I'm gaming. I don't want to focus on. I've never really been big into handheld gaming. It was really like after the Game Boy SP, I just kind of lost interest because But for the Switch to be able to do both, it scratches my itch in terms of what I want. And I think that's what's really important, because my whole thing I'm moving forward to on this channel is making games niche. And Nintendo seems to have a very good, solid understanding about what that means. It doesn't mean appealing to everybody. If what everybody wants is this and Nintendo doesn't do that, it's because Nintendo is catering to their audience, because their audience is what got Nintendo to this level in the first place. And it's not just kiddie games and all the usual criticisms that people like me and others used back in the day. It's just that they know what they are, they care about what they have cultivated, and they would rather maintain that instead of trying to appease the masses, because the masses want 4K, 60 FPS, and all this stuff. No compromise. They say they want that, but you get buy console. But that's what they say they want. And Nintendo, like I said before, marches to the beat of their own drum. They are leading the console war, so to speak, by not even being in the console war, because they could care less. I've heard people were talking about, what about cross-platform? Like, Nintendo doesn't care about cross-platform. They don't care. Yeah, you could do it, but it's obviously not a priority for them. This is for the few games that do have cross-platform, like I believe Minecraft and Fortnite. That's great. It's great, but that's not Nintendo's main theme. Their main theme is in-house first-party games. Zelda, Mario, Smash Brothers, the new Metroid game. Those are the games that sell Switches, not crossplay, not high fidelity frame rates or whatever. Because all of Nintendo's first-party games run from stable, like moderately well, to extremely well. Just about a week ago, I saw Bowser's Fury for the first time, and the game looked gorgeous. It's running at 60 frames per second, very bright and colorful, and it looked great. And it kind of made me like, I think I want that. So the takeaway from this, in my opinion, is that the new OLED Switch is exactly what it needs to be. And I don't see any reason in being upset about it not being the super console that apparently people were just expecting Nintendo to give them. Because if you bought a Switch from day one, that meant those are things that you do not, you don't care about. They're not high priority for you. If you wanted those things, you would go to the competitor. You would. but Nintendo has cemented themselves as being Nintendo first. Nintendo first party games first. I don't know why anyone would get a Switch, get Doom, and then be upset that it doesn't look good. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. I think the OLED model Switch is just fine. It's great. It's exactly for the people that Nintendo intended it to be for. People who have not invested in a Switch yet and who wish to jump in and have a shiny new version. Because everyone likes new. Just like the people who like the brand new PS2 Slims when they came out, PS3 Slims. And just to add with the whole issue with in my opinion, that I have with next gen upgrades like the Xbox One X or the PlayStation 4 Pro, is that I feel like those do in some capacity kind of undercut the previous model by a large enough margin for it to be a fault. A good example, I believe, is The Last Guardian on the PlayStation 4. The base PlayStation 4 version, it did not perform well. The performance in that game was middling, to say it best. Like, I played it, I beat it, I thoroughly enjoyed it, but that game choked a lot. PlayStation 4 obviously wasn't up to snuff to run that game well, but the PlayStation 4 Pro ran it at a mostly stable, playable 30 frames per second. To me, that is not good, because now your gaming experience suffers as a result of a purchase when the company comes out and invalidates the last version of a console for no reason. And this may lead to another video about limitations, because the Switch compared to its competitors is very weak by comparison. There are very specific limitations that they put in mind when they created the Switch, and I'm beginning to think that may be a good idea. But I'll save that for another video. Of course, the next video we have lined up will be on Friday, my breakdown of my review format moving forward on my channel, Immortal Afro Gaming's review format. Look forward to that video on Friday. But in the meantime, everybody, I am your Immortal Afro. Welcome to Immortal Afro Gaming. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.